If you're watching the channel, you know these are our daily drivers. And as you know, they are both great cars, but let's compare the two.
Now we both know that a better comparison would be a first generation BRZ, just because it'd be in around the same price range as the Civic and are gonna be a little slower than this one. But today we have the second gen BRZ, so we're gonna work with that. These cars are definitely different, with the BRZ being rear wheel drive
and the Honda Civic being front wheel drive. But they have their similarities.
Both of them being 2.4 liter naturally aspirated engines, 2-door, 6-speed manual coupes. On this car we have an intake and an exhaust system. Other than that, it's just a stock BRZ engine that makes 228 crank horsepower.
And as for the Civic, it has an intake exhaust and it's making 205 crank.
On paper, the BRZ has more crank horsepower than the Civic, but because it's rear wheel drive, it loses some wheel horsepower through the drive line, which means it's safe to assume that they are similar in wheel horsepower. But the BRZ would win in a race as it is 300 pounds lighter.
These cars both handle great from factory and also with some modification. The handling difference would be hard to see on the street, but on the track, with the cars being pushed to their limits, I think the BRZ would have to come up top. What?
The Civic being front wheel drive would be easier to handle at its limit of grip, whereas the BRZ would take more skill at its limit of grip. That means that the Civic would be a better choice if you don't have much experience on track, whereas the BRZ is great for skilled drivers. Just like calling myself a skilled driver. I'm not a skilled driver.
But now that we've compared the two vehicles, let's take them for a rip. Great minds think alike, you know? Not much you can do in a front wheel drive car and it kind of sucks. Again.
As for space, the Civic definitely wins. With the BRZ, you can't even really fit a passenger with legs. They'd have to not have legs in this car. As for trunk space, the trunk is pretty deep, but not that tall. One thing is we can't put the seats down, which does allow for a lot of room. I have fit 4 tires in here before. But again, the Civic definitely wins in this area.
The Civic, on the other hand, can fit 5 passengers with legs comfortably, and it has a fairly big trunk, and this one even has a sub. Trunk space, the Civic has fairly good trunk space. It has more, but with this sub, it has less trunk space, but who wouldn't want a sub? As for daily driving, they get around the same fuel mileage as they have similar sized tanks.
As mentioned, these cars are great daily driver enthusiast cars. They have good all-around performance and daily drivability. It really comes down to preference as to which one you choose. Let us know in the comments below.
And let me know if I should get a C5. Why not end it off there?
Yeah.
It's random,